We now come to the 10-minute rule motion. I call Chris Stevens.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to amend the definition of worker and to make provision about workers' rights and for connected purposes. Madam Deputy Speaker, this, of course, is a reintroduction of a bill introduced in the last parliamentary session, which sadly did not reach a debate on a second reading. However, as more seasoned members of the House have taught me, repetition is not a vice. In presenting this bill, I would like to thank the Scottish Trade Union Congress, the Trade Union Congress, Feeding Britain and the Great Better Than Zero campaign for providing me with examples as to why this bill is necessary and why we as a Parliament require a debate on giving working people greater protection. It is now time to refine the current definitions of a worker in light of recent Supreme Court judgments and to provide greater protection from day one of a person's employment, eliminating zero-hour contracts and providing greater protection for those in precarious work, such as those, but not limited to, those working in the hospitality sector. Far from addressing an unbalanced economy that rewards failure, so long as that's on a global scale, successive governments have clung to the supremacy of the market over workers' rights. However, all the evidence shows that a healthy economy values workers and that achieving the correct balance between profit and reward is the best way to secure long-term growth instead of short-term profit. Many voices are now challenging the sheer scale of exploitation and poor working practices that all age groups experience, but often hit younger people the hardest. As Feeding Britain has reported, increasingly we are receiving evidence around individuals on zero-hour contracts who are being forced to the door of the food bank to supplement their low or volatile income. Not only is this promoting a message that work doesn't pay, but zero-hour contracts are also having the equally damaging impact of making universal credit payments fluctuate and, in turn, pushing proud, resilient individuals to rely heavily on food banks. As hours vary each week, or sometimes each day, for people on a zero-hour contract, there is often a delay with universal credit catching up on the hours worked, and in some cases, universal credit forecasts have been made in the previous month, where hours worked are dramatically different. This represents the first domino to fall, with wildly unpredictable payments leading to rent arrears and the loss of other passported benefits. Housing associations have reported a rise in the number of tenants who are falling foul of zero-hour contracts and its impact on financial housing support that they receive. They gave us an example of Paul of West Cheshire, who said that zero-hour contracts are no good to anybody. You need to at least work 40 hours a week to be able to fend off yourself and pay the bills. My universal credit payments were different each month, and I could not keep up with the bills. I had to use food banks and got into arrears with both my rent and council tax. I am better off not working than working in this way. Another example provided was a single parent in Coventry, a single parent who works in a care job that cannot guarantee her hours. She is paid weekly, variable amounts, oftentimes just one shift a week, and claims universal credit alongside that. She can never predict how much universal credit will be paid to her, so cannot budget for her rent, her utilities and food, and relies on food banks to supplement her low-earned income while she waits for universal credit payments to ensure she has enough to pay for her rent. Having already received a pommelling from an income which rises and falls drastically from week to week, people are being left with a perpetual fear of the unforeseen financial emergency around the corner, and it's now clear that evidence of insecurity premium exists for those on zero-hour contracts. According to the Living Wage Foundation, an insecurity premium hits those on unpredictable hours and low income the hardest. These are the last-minute changes which make planning and efficiency savings around other costs, such as childcare and travel, more troublesome. For instance, if an employee has guaranteed shifts for a week or a month, they can work out the most affordable travel arrangements, be that a weekly or a monthly pass with its obvious savings. They can plan their childcare on the days they anticipate that they will be working and ensure a cheaper advance rate. For those on zero-hour contracts, it is of course on the contrary, because if an employee is only notified last minute or on a day-to-day basis, they will suffer the premiums of a daily travel ticket or last-minute childcare costs, additional childcare costs. It is clear that far from being a two-way street, where workers and employers benefit from the zero-hour contracts arrangement, many people are crying out for greater predictability, security and continuity in their working life and an opportunity to look to the future rather than looking out for the infrequent calls of their employers. Zero-hour contracts are an arrangement which in many cases are stacked in favour of the employer and are leading workers into insecurity and often hardship. It is claimed, Madam Deputy Speaker, that some individuals have particular lifestyles suited to the flexibility of interchangeable working patterns, and where this works for an individual, it should be within their gift to keep it this way. However, the reality is the contrary. Many others are burdened by the inflexibility of contracts designed to provide flexibility. They have to put their plans on hold, they miss out on important occasions, their ability to budget or forecast is removed or diminished, and they are paying more for the same services than others with a constant employment routine. Many live in fear that their commitment will be called into question or that they will be usurped by a fellow worker without the same commitments in life, who can take any shift at any time and in any place without a second thought. In other cases, Madam Deputy Speaker, individuals have travelled abroad to visit family or attend bereavements, or have simply been out of the house and have stopped being offered shifts as they didn't reply to their manager's messages promptly enough. In many lines of work, often poorly paid, only zero-hour contracts are available, and employees feel trapped in the knowledge that they must be willing to drop everything, take last-minute work, appease their employers to guarantee a future income stream. It is time, therefore, to take on the false narrative about the modern world of work that suggests that 21st century technology has created a different dynamic and that workers have to adopt to be more flexible and more open to different ways of working, leaving behind outdated notions of security and guaranteed reward. The clear implication is that full-time secure employment with rights, a pension and clearly defined hours is some sort of outdated 20th century concept instead of at the peak of a hard-fought struggle to redress the balance between employer and employee, or at its most extreme, the exploiter and the exploited. And it is time for a full debate about what is fair work and how it should be properly rewarded. My bill will bring some clarity to the definition of a worker by defining what rights are available and consolidating a single statutory definition of the people to whom employment rights and duties apply. It would also give the House the opportunity for more debate about the issues contained following the Taylor report. It is time to consolidate a single statutory definition of the people to whom employment rights and duties apply. Through the Supreme Court, there is already an emerging body of case law to support workers' rights. That is by no means the end of the story. It is also time to address the issue of short-term notice shift changes which penalise workers. We can no longer accept as a society a worker reporting for work to be advised that they either have no work that day or they are expecting to work longer hours than they were advised only the day before. For those employers who do that, there should be a penalty, Madam Deputy Speaker. It should require employers to meet the cost to a worker for transport and/or out-of-pocket or indeed increased childcare costs. The time has come to secure legislation that uses the court judgments to clarify the nature and status of workers today. We should not overcomplicate the issue by pretending that the age-old struggle between labour and capital has magically vanished in the digital age. Now, let me give you another example that probably brings the whole bill together quite well. It existed in Glasgow, the art school bar collapse. 22 workers, all on zero-hour contracts, having their hours cut to zero without notice on the 31st of October. And exactly 3 months later, the company declares insolvency, because everything from holiday pay to notice pay is dependent on the last 13 weeks of hours. There is no guarantee that the workers will get anything. Some of them have been employed for 7 years, and I believe, as do the Better Zero campaign, that that was a deliberate attempt to avoid paying out packages to staff. Had these workers had the guarantee of minimum hours built into their contracts, they would not now be left with minimal notice or a redundancy package. Madam Deputy Speaker, there are those who consider the crackdown on workers' rights doesn't go far enough. The ones who look fondly on the 18th and 19th century employment legislation, the Master and Servants Acts, designed to discipline employees and oppress a combination of workers and trade unions. I believe they are in a minority. If fairness is not nailed down in legislation and enforced, there will always be employers who push to their advantage to the limit and to beyond. The time has come, Madam Deputy Speaker, for an Act of Parliament to address these issues that I have raised of precarious work, that bring misery to millions of people, and I commend this bill to the House?
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Graham Morris, Alison Thewlis, Rachel Hopkins, Neil Gray, Jonathan Edwards, Amy Callaghan, Paula Barker, Kenny McCaskill, Dr Philippa Whitford, Brendan O'Hara, Colin Eastwood and myself.
Chris Stevens.
Workers' Definition and Rights Bill.
Second reading what day?
27th of November, Madam Deputy Speaker.
27th of November. Thank you.